Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and this, by popular demand, finally, is Advanced HeroQuest, the 1989 Games Workshop modular dungeon crawler complete with 3D roleplay and full rules for solo play that is perhaps not as much of a spiritual successor to its non-advanced namesake, but more of a commercial sequel developed only by Games Workshop with no input from Milton Bradley. This is a departure from classic HeroQuest's game system in terms of mechanics, design, aesthetic, direction, flow, setting, and for better or for worse, fate. Advanced HeroQuest is a game of heroic roleplay in a world of magic and mayhem, a complete adventure game for 1 to 5 players aged 14 or over. I guess that's to assume or infer that once you're past 14, it's all over. At least that was the truth on Chewton Street in 1989. There's a lot to read here. We have some lore on each of the 4 types of heroes that are included in the box. Gone is our stout barbarian, replaced instead with this warrior. We've got our dwarf, he is faultless. We have our elf, he is faultful, the opposite of faultless, but the same as the HeroQuest elf in that regard. And we have our wizard. We have an explanation of the prime enemy in this game, ever present, a great introduction to the Skaven. We have a picture of what appears to be my board game collection and the game in progress. And yes, it is modular, for those that didn't know. This game contains 36 finely detailed plastic Citadel miniatures, over 40 full-color interlocking room and corridor sections, 6 plastic doors, over 3 dozen counters, and a fully illustrated rulebook. And as you probably expected, the entire fantasy range of Citadel miniatures can be used with Advanced HeroQuest to add another level of richness to your adventures. The rules contain a special monster matrix system that allows you to create unique tables for choosing the hero's opponents, and each table can include any or all of the models from your collection. Advanced HeroQuest also contains rules for using the components from Milton Bradley's HeroQuest game and for transferring your HeroQuest characters to Advanced HeroQuest to continue their adventures. And yes, it can be also played solo, with special rules for solo dungeon layout and monster tactics. Advanced HeroQuest, despite its namesake, is a complete game in its own right. Possession of Milton Bradley's HeroQuest game is not required. Note that while HeroQuest at this time was a trademark of Games Workshop, Milton Bradley is the prefix to the HeroQuest name in many places on this box and therein. There were a few statements that made me chuckle over here. It immediately starts you off by introducing the old world. This is very much set in the world of Warhammer, where there is very much a dividing line between people who fully believe and commit to the original base game being set in the Warhammer world, and those of us who believe it was left intentionally blank or vague so as to separate the lore. This dives fully into the Warhammer world, mentioning the Chaos Gods by name, including locales, lore, and using art from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's first edition manual, which, I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you throw every single piece of art you could onto a production like this? But one of the statements that I chuckled at was, "These warriors, trained in the use of many weapons and clad in the finest armor money can buy, now fight on their own terms, in search of treasures much greater than any found in a soldier's purse. You're not starting the game with the finest armor money can buy. But perhaps the most powerful force in the old world are its wizards." That is definitely not true in the original HeroQuest. Differences aside, it is time to open up the box and observe the other 100 differences. As you can tell, I have the very special limited edition, slightly damaged, torn, and moldy box top. That's right, I'm a true collector. Eat your heart out. How much do you think this goes for on eBay? 600? 700 cents? I need to show you the sides of the box. There is an entire I need to show you the sides of the box without dumping my contents out all over the floor. There is an entire, it's a series of photographs is what it is. It looks like. Those are definitely all Games Workshop miniatures that were around at the time. The C47 line, I think it was called, or do I have that wrong? This diorama, yes, it has attributions. It's by Ivan Bartlett. We've even got a story that accompanies it. On this side, and yes, I'm using clips to keep my box straight, we have representations of Citadel miniatures On this side, we have a ton of brilliant, beautiful titles from this timeline. And finally, we have some painting examples, so you can show off your mercenaries in Skaven once you're done following this example guide. We move on to the contents of the box now after I retrieve the manual that slid deftly onto my carpeted floor. This is the rule book for heroic roleplay, and it's pretty iconic for a number of reasons. One, a lot of people will take these hole punch marks seriously and punch holes to the manual so that they can keep it in sort of a binder. Two, it is very chunky. This rulebook weighs in at 64 pages, front cover to back cover. Every square centimeter of this is used. Did I use the right denomination? Yeah, that's the right, yeah, because European. Every square non-freedom unit is used to give you attributions, rules, lore, and art, and photographs. The brain likes it when information is broken up this way. We have so many images to show us examples, treasure maps, dice, everything here is just very visual. It's not just a list of components that takes up about a paragraph on one page. You're getting every bit of Games Workshop ability to sell you their ideas, to present to you their works. They're very proud of this. It shows on these pages. This must have been planned to be a flagship product of a kind. This makes me very sad that it didn't have more expansions. It had one, Terror in the Dark. This is one of the harder board game things to acquire, given that it seems to go for insane amounts of money on the secondhand market. But what makes this 60-plus page rulebook not so threatening is the fact that there is so much artwork that takes up so much space. If you took away all of the artwork, we'd be left with 35 pages, 40 pages. But I also think that that would be a terrible mistake because, as I said, the brain really likes it when you break this information up, and it makes it a lot easier to learn when things are arranged a certain way. It does depend on what kind of learning type you are, but we'll continue on. We have a lot of really cool examples of how the miniatures should look on their modular tiles when you are going through certain scenarios like hand-to-hand combat. It explains very well the differences between hit rolls, critical rolls, fumbles. I just fumbled that sentence, fumbling the whole video. We have our line of sight example here. I like that it does say that you can see diagonally through doors just fine. You just can't go further than that 45-degree angle. That's what I meant. You can see through doors diagonally. Magic, the Bright Wizard's spellbook. There are a lot of spells in this game. Aren't there? No, there are not a lot of spells in this game. But look, it's the return of Swift Wind and Courage. The duties of the game's master is covered here as well, followed by hazards, which includes rats, bats, mold, mushrooms, pool, trapdoor, magic circle. We have a section on treasure here, explaining magic treasure, giving you tables. This is a game of tables. There are so many tables. When you roll, you will be opening this book constantly to consult tables, and that is probably why the holes for the hole punch. Traps, between expeditions, cost of living, random events, spending gold, henchmen using henchmen, embarking on the next trip, sergeants and men-at-arms, and then campaigns. This explains how you can make your own campaigns. If you understand how Advanced HeroQuest works, you will find it much easier to design your own adventures. At the heart of it, the game has a system that allows you to generate dungeons as you play. This is the function of the exploration turns. The combat system allows for quick, exciting battles between the heroes and the monsters. The first thing to think about when designing an adventure is the nature of the hero's quest. And then it goes on to explain exactly how you can use the Advanced HeroQuest game system to formulate your own chains of adventures. We have a section for alternative monsters, explanations for 2 attacks, cause disease, flight, fearsome monsters, and large monsters, replete with diagrams. Quest ideas. You can quickly see how it's not necessary to read 60 pages to start playing the game, but this is your manual that will live with you and continue to give you ideas and grow your game experience long after you have played your first few rounds or perhaps your first campaign even. On page 45, we have the legendary section on HeroQuest, and this is the explanation as to how you can take your HeroQuest game system and incorporate it into the Advanced HeroQuest game system, bringing in characters, monsters, room furnishings. We have more tables to allow you to roll for the room furnishings, as well as the effects that they give when they are explored. A lot of the homebrew systems that you have seen might have been inspired by various elements of this section in this book. You can also use the large HeroQuest map board in your advanced HeroQuest games to add a maze-like level to a dungeon. You can decide in advance which stairs are going to lead to this maze. For example, the first set of stairs going down from the second level. Or you can roll for it each time stairs down are found, with a roll of 1 or 2 on a dice indicating that the stairs lead to a maze level. And here is our beautiful illustration of our lovely HeroQuest map that we all know and love. You can play any of the HeroQuest adventures using the advanced HeroQuest rules, but replace the HeroQuest rules for movement, combat, and magic with the advanced HeroQuest rules, and use the HeroQuest rules for placing monsters, searching, treasure cards, and so on. Whenever a hero is directed to lose a body point, he must lose 1 wound or 1 fate point instead. All monsters that are encountered are assumed to be of the standard type, not champions or warlords, unless stated otherwise below. We have special rules for Sir Ragnar, who counts as having a weapon skill and toughness of 7 and a speed of 6. He has 2 wounds remaining and is not allowed to attack or run. Ulag has the characteristics of an orc warlord. Grak has the characteristics of an orc champion. By the way, Grak is the orc in the room with the torture rack. In the Stone Hunter adventure, the Chaos Warriors have their toughness increased by +1. Balor and the Witch Lord have the same characteristics and spells as an evil sorcerer. Remember that the Witch Lord can only be harmed by the Spirit Blade. We have the Maze Passage Features table, the Secret Doors table, the Maze Junctions table, the Hidden Treasure table. If you were wanting to make your own set of cards or your own homebrew to kind of make HeroQuest more advanced because you perhaps find the current options lacking in some way, shape, or form, you could definitely use this section of this rulebook for inspiration. And I fully believe that many of the systems that we have seen have used this rulebook for inspiration. Solo Advanced HeroQuest is its own small kind of section, really. And then we have the Quest for the Shattered Amulet, which is the included campaign, if you will. We have explanations for Skaven, Skaven characters, Specialist Skaven, and then this goes on to explain the Warlord's Lair, the Magic Maze, the Plague Temple, the Amber Room, the Prison of Ice. Before we get to an advertisement and the monster reference table, we do have additional tables that have come outside of this manual. These monster reference tables, number 3, they are double-sided, and we have a page dedicated to heroes. And these heroes, wouldn't you believe it, are the conversions of the HeroQuest characters. So we have our barbarian, our elf, our wizard, and our dwarf, and yes, the sharp-eyed of you will notice that they are named for the legendary 4 of HeroQuest lore. We have Rogar, the human barbarian, Ladril, the high elf, Telor, the human wizard, and Durgan, the dwarf. Permission granted to photocopy for personal use. We've also got Magnus the Bright, Heinrich Lowen, Tolorian Leafstar, and Sven Hammerhelm, a human wizard, a human warrior, an elf, and a dwarf, respectively, and the elf is not a high elf. While these are the HeroQuest miniatures photographed, these are the advanced HeroQuest miniatures. Our monster reference tables do include the basic monsters from normal HeroQuest, although the sculpts are quite different, perhaps in a bid to get you interested in these alternate sculpts and to discover the wider Warhammer Old World Citadel miniature universe at large. And it's effective when you walk into a store and there's tons of pegs on walls from which hang dozens of blister packs full of pewter goodness, and they're priced at $1 or $2 a piece, and that's back in, for me, 1996 money. It's hard not to buy at least 5 or 6. That's if you can avoid the temptation of getting a whole game. We've got the zombie, the skeleton, the mummy, the Fimir, the ogre, the troll, the minotaur, and the bloodthirster. Yes, it's not a gargoyle in Advanced HeroQuest because Advanced HeroQuest is set squarely in the Warhammer world, and they can use all of those chaos references. The Skaven Warpfire Thrower Team, Clan Scryer Warp Weaver, Clan Scryer White Skaven Sorcerer, all of these are the specialized Skaven that you will encounter. We did have a reference to Skaven being used in normal HeroQuest, in a couple of White Dwarf quests outside of the published official game, of course, but also in the Marvel Winter Special, which had Skaven clan rats, rat ogres, I think Grayseer, and a troll. I neglected to look on the back of the normal monster sheet. We do get our goblin, goblin archer, orc champion, orc warlord, chaos thug, chaos warrior, and chaos champion. This chaos warrior sculpt is vastly inferior to the one that comes with HeroQuest, just saying. However, once we get to the chaos lord sculpt, things start looking normal again. That's what I'm talking about. The Daemonette, the greater Daemon of Zinch, the Undead Champion, Minotaur Lord, as if they needed a Lord version, Orc War Chief or Ogre Chieftain, and Chaos Sorcerer. That is a really badass sculpt. I would like to have that myself. And then the GM's reference sheet giving us even more tables. Yummy, yummy tables. We love them. Yum. We have looked at naught but text and pictures. It is time to look at text and pictures in 3 dimensions. Now, I'm gonna warn you, this box has some stuff in it that did not come with the original game. This is Ash's version of Advanced HeroQuest for when I'm finally ready to play it properly. And by that, I mean there is an entire set of HeroQuest furniture, as well as a deck of cards from ReproQuest back when they made these. These cards are basically the monster reference tables, just nice and sectioned out so that you can have a deck of cards. They include the Terror in the Dark expansion monsters, plus a few other like the Troll Slayer Oath. So if I ever need them, I will have them in hand. I don't know, it might be faster just to reference the pages at that point. We have our miniatures and tiles, and we have a bunch of junction tiles. I think this is just a dead end. Not sure, fam. A few other things in this box before we can safely set it aside. You have junctions, you have corridors, and you have rooms. The junctions will link the corridors because we only have straight pieces of corridor. We don't have any T-shapes or 90-degree bends or anything like that. You will make those by using the junction pieces. Some of these junctions really are just bends. They do go together like jigsaw puzzles. The art is continuous, so you will lose no immersion in placing these down. Now, the background that you're seeing is my neoprene mat from Maladun. It has nothing to do with this game. It does kind of look cool, though. It's kind of like this passageway is hewn directly into this rock. So you might notice that the rooms do not have jigsaw cutouts, and that's because the rooms will go to the sides of the hallways, the corridors that you're traveling down. And yes, it's worth noting, these seem to more follow the classic HeroQuest scale rather than a true 1-inch grid. So you can use your classic HeroQuest board, you can use your classic HeroQuest rooms that came with the classic expansions. That's all going to be fine. Your dungeon, though, could very well look something like this as you are continuing to build it. I'm pretty sure my contents here are complete, but I need to remind myself. The game does come with 4 heroes, the warrior, the wizard, the dwarf, and the elf, as well as 12 henchmen and 20 skaven. If any of this system feels familiar, this is basically the precursor to what would be known as Warhammer Quest. Several years later, this system was refined, scaled out, and repurposed into the Warhammer Quest world. It's quite a bit of refinement, so much, in fact, that Advanced HeroQuest does still kind of feel like a game in its own right, separate from Warhammer Quest. But of course, if you know how to play one, then learning how to play the other is not going to be a big deal for you. We have our 4 pieces of the Shattered Amulet, which is the campaign that comes with this box. A little bit of a toy factor in collecting cardboard tiles that will all fit together like a puzzle in order to create the thing that they're supposed to create. A round room. It rotates. Not by itself. I'm doing that. Some explosion tiles. And tiny maps for the Warlord's Lair, the Plague Temple, and the Magic Maze. Within each room, the Guardians are undying. Look at these fireballs chasing the little heroes around, the little stick figures. The Plague Temple, beware. Traps, lots and lots of rats in that room across the bridge. The Warlord's Lair, first find runic key to open the way to the Shattered Amulet. The rotating room is a bit of a different convention here in terms of design. It's not a map, it is a diagram of the rotating room itself and how it works. Beware, many guardians, do not rush into grabbing the amulet. I actually really like this. Here are our doors, and there are 6 of them, and they open and close on their little hinges. And yes, a lot of these are on eBay. Very few of them are intact. A lot of them are broke off of their hinges because kids didn't understand how to play with doors that were meant to open and close and not be broken off of their hinges. This is something you can push fit together, but if you're pretty rough with it, then you can break the hinge parts themselves, giving your door nothing. Now, all that said, the door concept here is kind of worthless. I mean, it's kind of cool for the presentation. The visual factor is just unbeatable. But if you've got doors from HeroQuest, just use those instead. Then you don't have to worry about breaking your door. Because, I mean, every time I open and close it, it wants to jog just a little bit, drift off of its hinges, and I have to kind of push it back on. It's not like it snaps into place. Maybe it was supposed to once upon a time. rest of my doors are broken. It's fine, I'm not going to use them. I will use proxies. I would almost suggest using the League of Dungeoneers doors, but they're a little bit too wide. They just encroach on everything around them. They look too cool for me to want to get rid of, though. I told you why the mechanics of all of this might seem familiar, but I didn't tell you why the miniatures might seem familiar. Of course, these miniatures might not seem familiar to you at all, but the 12 henchmen and 20 skaven with shields idea would be carried over into another game called Mighty Warriors, in which you had 2 players, one playing the good guys, or the henchmen, which don't have the same name in that game, the other player playing the skaven. And although the skaven would outnumber the henchmen by a bit, and also had shields, so that when you hit a skaven with a shield, it could lose its shield and then it could be fine. I believe the warrior player had some sort of boon. Oh, we'll dig into that game another time. But here are the sculpts. We have our henchmen. They're looking a little bit scared. They're looking a little bit unsure of why they got into this line of work. They're not quite remembering if they turned off the toaster at home. What do you want from me? It's the old world. The toasters never turn off by themselves. Skaven is the typical plastic clan rat sculpt of the time. This was used in a lot of old world boxes, or maybe just the one that they sold in the 8 and 10, I think, number varieties. And I'm pretty sure Mighty Warriors also has these 4 champions as well. In fact, I'm more than certain. I just checked, and indeed it is supposed to have these 4 sculpts. Here they are, Advanced HeroQuest. I don't dislike anything about this. I actually really love the sculpts that it comes with. The wizard sculpt is really, really cool. I like the pose a lot. Obviously, this one came painted to me. I did not do the painting, but I rather like the paint job that the original owner gave it. The Skaven are from all over the place. I collected quite a few Skaven to throw into this box. I even collected a few alternate Skaven sculpts just to have them. Here's our dwarf. I also really like this version of the dwarf. Proud, holding up his hammer, yelling, and he's actually got a hammer. The elf, the high elf, is indeed that, and very much of that, and nobody does it better than the elf at being an elf. The warrior is extremely patriotic, you can tell, because the plumage is coming right with him into battle. He's not afraid if the Lich King makes fun of his feathers. He's going to represent the Bretonnian Empire, I assume, and charge with naught but a long sword that he wields in one hand, and of course some plate mail. He looks really cool. He's dynamic. He's ready to go. Advanced HeroQuest works with a fate system. You don't just have wounds. You also have fate tokens. Escape, trap, fate. Right, there you are. That's the fate token. Character. All right, so I have forgotten why we have different token varieties here with the same shape. They're single-sided, so one can imagine that they're probably drawn from a bag. Wandering monster. I'm sure a few kind fellows in the comments below will explain to me this phenomenon. Here's another new one, Ambush. I like that one a lot. Rest assured, by the time I'm ready to actually play this, I will have forgotten again. We've got some oblong tiles, which I've only ever seen these in non-US, specifically non-US HeroQuest expansions. This shape of tile anyway. But we have tiles for Clan Moors, the Warlord, Clan Skyer, the White Skaven Sorcerer, Clan Eschins, Assassin, Clan Pestilence, Plague Censer Bearer, Clan Skyer's Warp Weaver. Are you sensing the theme? Well, I'm about to break that because bam, Greater Daemon of Tzeentch. Bam, Ogre Chieftain. That's right, these are the monsters, and look at the Chaos Lord doing his own thing, saying I'm going to be side to side instead of up and down. The monsters in the reference pages that you will be fighting. It didn't come with miniatures, but the monsters are indeed here. And that is how you can encounter them when you lack the sufficient, finely detailed Citadel miniatures sold at better stores near you. We do have a few different room varieties. The artwork on each room is different, which I really appreciate, actually. And we have some extra large rooms where some truly diabolical skirmishes can take place. All of these room tiles are bigger than the Warhammer Quest room tiles. And I don't mean in terms of dimension, because Warhammer Quest used a tile grid standard that was quite a bit bigger, with bordered edges that extended beyond the actual playable area. These are all compact. They are very big in terms of how many tiles are in each room. We don't have any 5x5s in Warhammer Quest, and we don't have any tiles that are this big in Warhammer Quest. Dimension-wise, sure, but we don't have anything that's 5x10. That's a massive room. You can put all kinds of furniture in here from HeroQuest, and it won't feel cramped. like it would if it were in a regular HeroQuest room while playing the regular HeroQuest game. I'm not throwing any shade. I'm just stating facts. That, more or less, is the unboxing of Advanced HeroQuest. It is something that I very, very much want to play and have been wanting to play for a long time. Time is just something I don't have enough of. It's not fair. Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. I think Mad Max was the one that originally said that. Throne tile. It's for something large. It takes up a whole 4 spaces. Well, maybe not, but it's appropriately placed anyway. People are going to ask, so I did get these off of Etsy, but I do not know if they still exist. And that's all I'm going to say about that. There's also the Advanced HeroQuest tile. I'm not sure what this is used for. Does the book say? It does not. I guess you could use it for measuring line of sight, or you could mark the border of your table so that everybody knows that you're playing Advanced HeroQuest. HeroQuest is plastered on the side of its own board. Worry not, it is in my wheelhouse and in my plans to make sure that this gets a proper playthrough right here on the channel. Would anybody be interested in a quest jam that was for Advanced HeroQuest? I think that would be quite an interesting undertaking, and I would actually really appreciate giving this game some new life. Going back to what I said earlier, I think I remember to say it, there's a lot of conversation around this game in terms of a remake or, oh no, I forgot a henchman, or what people would like to see, specifically what people would like to see the current rights holders of HeroQuest do with the property. And I'm here to say that because of legality and copyright and trademark and so on, I am of a mind that we as contemporary HeroQuest fans will never see an Advanced HeroQuest. That explanation, that whole spiel, is going to be outside the scope of this video, but I will point you in the direction of my Will We Get an Advanced HeroQuest video, where I explain my point of view and the rationale behind it. Long story short, this one's not making a comeback. I wanted to say also that I really like, in particular, Always Bored, Never Boring's video on Advanced HeroQuest, and also the, I think, top 10 of his favorite games video. I believe, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but spoilers ahead, Advanced HeroQuest places #1 in that list. And it has a lot to do with the gameplay loop just really being immersive and feeling gritty, like you're barely scraping by in between quests, because you do have upkeep to pay whenever you're playing a campaign, and there are things to do in between quests that make your next quest feel like you really are this sort of down-on-your-luck mercenary trying to skirt by with what little they can scavenge in terms of treasure from a dungeon, only to have some of that squandered because they have to pay for food or lodging or whatever, and they can't even afford to upgrade their materials for their next dungeon delve. It's gritty, it's grimy, and it's kind of dirty, and I believe that that's what makes this game its own entity, even apart from Warhammer Quest, which admittedly seems a lot more chaotic now that I think about it, because of the ability to have a roll of 1 during the power phase and then the draw of a Minotaur during the event phase in your very first room. Advanced HeroQuest is much more balanced in a strange sense, or at least bits and pieces of it are. I wanted to also say that there is a grand project that you can undertake should you own a copy of Advanced HeroQuest, in that you can begin to start collecting the miniatures therein, the ones referenced on the tiles and in the monster reference charts. Getting one of each of these now on the secondhand market is a pretty expensive undertaking. Getting multiples, which you would want to get to give the game its fully deserved due in terms of encountering these warbands in the dungeons, that's something that I think you're going to have to be particularly rich to do. But you can do it in pieces, and you can begin to incorporate monster groups into your game as you go out and collect them. Don't forget that you can proxy also. I chose to, well, I didn't choose anything, I haven't done it yet, but I think that I would like to proxy the HeroQuest basic monsters by just getting a set of classic HeroQuest monsters and putting them in this box. Then instead of the Citadel sculpts, I've got the plastic HeroQuest monsters, and the plastic will go very well with the plastic here, and also keep my box a slightly lighter weight this early on in my collection project. Now the bug will eventually come around and bite me, and I'll have to go and buy the original metallic miniature versions of everything in the book and multiples of them, and I'm not bit by that bug yet. That's not got its little stinger in me at all at this point, but it is something that I might consider doing one day because it does sound like a fun project to have. That's all I'm going to say about this game today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I would love to hear your thoughts and your memories if you have any of playing Advanced HeroQuest in the comments below. If you found yourself commenting multiple times, that's 100% fine. I actually enjoy when people do that. The stream of consciousness style that I have being answered by a stream of consciousness comment fest. Feel free to interact with each other, check out the Discord, and I'll see you in the next exciting adventure. Until then, brave heroes, I bid you a fantastic rest of your day and a farewell for now. Oh, I should have said an advanced farewell. That would have been smart.